What's up, YouTube? Diamond Joe here. Don't know if you're aware or not, I used to host a podcast called I Could Talk Kayfabe, where my co-host Sean, the Angry Hero, and myself, we used to flip through pages of old wrestling magazines from the 80s and 90s. I might put that podcast on this channel, depending on how well this video does. What I have here is an old copy of Wrestling World from 1980. It's January? No, it's the 1980 annual Wrestling World. I'm going to just flip through the pages. I'm going to talk about the articles, look at the photos. We'll go through a trip down memory lane. I was born in 1980, so I don't know what was going on back then. So yeah, this is going to be really cool. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'll do more of these videos if you guys like. Like I said, I have all the magazines we talked about on the podcast. I can throw the podcast over the pictures of the magazine if you guys want to check that out and hear what we had to say. In the meantime, you can go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I guess it's called now. Go to Stitcher, download I Could Talk Kayfabe, and listen to my friend and I talk about old wrestling magazines from the 80s and 90s. But yeah, let's check out this magazine. Wrestling World, 1980, with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes on the cover. Okay, so with the front cover, we have Dusty Rhodes versus Nikolai Volkov. American Dream floors the Russian strongman. Bruno Sammartino versus Larry Zbyscko. Treachery sparks the vicious ring war. The 5 fiercest feuds in wrestling. Hulk Hogan and Tony Atlas. 2 titans on a collision course. Ringside photos of Brisco versus Flair. I think they mean Jack Brisco. And regional reports and national rankings. So this should be interesting. And you get the advertisements right out of the way. Okay, and some more magazine advertisements with the table of contents. You can get a nice potted plant there, it looks like, for $6.95. Oh, it's a hanging basket. Okay. And men's bag. Ooh, a siren light. A pen scope. Cool. But we're going into Rate the Wrestlers, the top 50. Look at that. First of all, look at that photo. So those are the 3 world champions. So you have Harley Race on top. Then to the left is Bob Backlund. To the right is Nick Bockwinkel. I don't know who drew that photo, but that's pretty epic. So yeah, here's your top 50. I'm assuming the world champions aren't in the top 50. It does not look like it. I got to imagine Ric Flair was U.S. champ at the time, which is why he's number 1. And Dusty Rhodes being number 2. King Kong Brody coming in at number 4. So he must have been working for Vern Gagne at the time, because he didn't go by Bruiser, because Dick the Bruiser was in there. Look at that, David Von Erich all the way up at number 6. You have Jack Brisco at 7. Pat Patterson at 8. Greg Valentine at 9. There's Dick the Bruiser at 10. I wonder who the IC champ was at this time, if it was still Patterson or if he had lost the belt by then. So you had Giant Baba, Ken Patera. Look at that. There's a who's who of late 70s wrestling there. Go to the other. Look at Ted DiBiase climbing the ranks already. He's at 26. Austin Idol. I'm a big mark for Austin Idol. Paul Jones, he's still wrestling at that point. Yeah, Mil Mascaris. Hulk Hogan, with Hulk in parentheses, I like that. Just above Dick Slater. Bill Watts is still kicking around at that time. Chavo Guerrero, that'd be Chavo Sr. Jimmy Snuka, Mark Lewin. So yeah, some big names. So here we go, Bruno versus Zbyscko. And did they spell Zbyscko the same way on the front cover? Yeah, I guess so. Sometimes you go through these old magazines and they have Zbyscko spelled different ways on pages, which is kind of funny. Look at that. When protege and former fan favorite Larry Zbyscko decided to forsake his mentor Bruno Sammartino by openly challenging the living legend on TV, he launched a vendetta that promises to spill more bad blood on the WWF mats in the months ahead. So yeah, ooh, that Larry Zbyscko turned on Bruno Sammartino. And we have a nice article, more photos of a match between the two. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this caption. Bruno provides Larry with a good look at the rope. Yeah, look at that rope, Larry. Pain is etched in the faces of both combatants. Yeah, they look like they're in pain. Bruno's looking great. Larry's just looking... I don't know. Larry never really had the big swole body, so... Sexy sights at your fingertips. Oh, what is that about? Amazing close-up available. Let's see. Only with a cam ocular. I guess it's like a Viewmaster, but with ladies. So here's some more of the Zbyscko and Bruno Sammartino feud. Zbyscko took the opportunity to knee Sammartino in the groin. And then some more advertisements for some more junk. Ooh, a CB receiver. That's cool. Look at this now. Hulk Hogan and Tony Atlas. Different strokes for Titanic folks. Yes. And you see Hulk Hogan with Fred Blassie. Fred Blassie already using a cane by 1980. So yeah. While emerging wrestling superstars Hulk Hogan and Tony Atlas both drive their respective bodies to similar excruciating lengths to maintain their tremendous physiques, their approaches to success in pro wrestling is diametrically opposed. Look at Tony. Tony Atlas still looks that swole. Different strokes for Titanic folks. Hogan hurls foe like a rag doll. Oh, look at him hurling that foe. And Hogan lands full force with his right leg across the chest. I can't really tell who he's wrestling. There we see Tony Atlas prepares to spring from the top rope. And he's also against some guy whom I can't make out. If you know who that is, leave a comment below. Atlas, when I get them, Blassie and Hogan, in the ring, dues will definitely be paid. I promise my fans that for sure. Okay. So there we see Hulk Hogan. The ref is checking to see if it's a choke. Bruno, I'm just a little curious as to know how much Hogan, knows about scientific wrestling. And I think that's where I give the edge to Atlas. I wonder if Bruno Sammartino actually said that. Might have been like on TV at that time. Might have said that in an interview. Tony Atlas with the win. Look at this. Hulk Hogan's greatest triumph since coming to the East was his defeat of Tito Santana, the former co-holder of the Tag Team Championship with Ivan Putski. So I want to see Hulk Hogan versus Tito Santana. That is a match. That's a match I need to see in my life. So yeah, I've got a Swiss Army knife. Dusty Rhodes bulldozes the House of Humperdink. Oh no! So Dusty Rhodes looks like he's feuding with Oliver Humperdink's stable. Wrestling, let's see what it says. Wrestling's infamous wrestling manager, Sir Oliver Humperdink, set out to destroy the American dream. Big Dust took a stand and left the house that Humperdink built, divided against itself, tilted slightly to the left. Go get him, American Dream. And look at that belt. Not sure which belt that is, but he's got a belt. Let's see. It's probably a Florida title of some kind. He wrestles a lot in Florida. I can't imagine it being a tag belt. There's a sweet photo of Oliver Humperdink. He's just smoking. The rotund Sir Oliver Humperdink lights his stogie. And there we see Oliver Humperdink and Bugsy McGraw. Don't give up no matter how much something hurts. You owe it to me to keep this championship after all I've done for you. Oh, boy. Oh, look at that. We got Nikolai Volkov and Don Morocco. Volkov's putting the boots to Dusty. Look at that outfit Humperdink has on. That's pretty awesome. And here we go. The 5 Fiercest Feuds to the Finish by Bill Clunkle. And here we see Superstar Billy Graham and Bruno Sammartino in a match. Fiercest Feuds. And we have Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk. Look at Terry Funk with the NWA World Heavyweight title. Then we see more advertisements. Gain weight fast. The Tiger Slimming suit. That looks pretty interesting. The Valiants versus Sammartino and Strongbow. Twice the Tricky Brothers persevered their time. I don't know. Preserve. That's the word there it is. Look at that. You got Captain Lou Albano. And he's managing the Valiant Brothers. So you got Jimmy and looks like it's Jimmy Valiant and Johnny Valiant. Ivan Putski versus Ivan Koloff was a feud. Battle of the Ivans. Another advertisement. And then we have Sammartino and Superstar Billy Graham again. And I like the article just talks about the feuds and some of the incidents that happened. It's a pretty sweet color photo of Hulk Hogan versus Jose Estrada. Look at Hulk Hogan in a singlet. That's pretty cool. Then we got the centerfold. I'll hold it the right way. So we have Sammartino versus Zbyscko. And Sika is putting the wrench on somebody. The Continental Lovers' Rowdy Road to Renown. Look at that. And so it's an article about Eddie Mansfield. I don't know too much about Eddie Mansfield. He was a little before my time. He just looks like he's posing for the camera, and he's facing off against one of the Guerreros. And the article just keeps going on. There's another photo of Eddie Mansfield. Guess he had a feud with Kevin Sullivan at one point. Jack Brisco versus Ric Flair. NWA Figure 4 Leg Lock Showdown. So that must have been something. And there we see him with a standing side headlock on Flair. And look at that. It looks like Briscoe has Flair in the Figure 4. To start, the start of his own Figure 4 was actually serving to trap Briscoe's legs in the cradle. Okay. Briscoe's Figure 4 has Flair screaming in agony in the second fall. So that was a 2 out of 3 falls match. There we see Flair on the outside. Stunned Ric Flair prepares to climb in the ring for more action. And here we go. We have the Eastern Report. I loved reading these old magazines because they would talk about what was going on, like in the different territories. So this is the Eastern Report, and they talk about the hot feud with Sammartino and Zbyscko, which has been all over this magazine. When we last went to press, Pat Patterson was the Intercontinental Champion. And he was involved with a series of bouts with Bob Backlund, the World Champion. And since that time, Patterson had a falling out with Lou Albano, who eventually changed his evil ways. With the result, the Intercontinental Champion now receives cheers instead of jeers. So we had a face turn, Pat Patterson, while he was Intercontinental Champion. And the newest threat to Backlund's crown is the huge Hulk Hogan. See page 12. Yeah. So there we see Bob Backlund and Samoan 2, so that's Afa. Ox Baker has also invaded the WWF. That's awesome. I love Ox Baker. There we go. We see Kerry Von Erich. Guess Kerry Von Erich must have made a little run in the WWF in the 1980. I had no idea about that. And yeah, Rene Goulet struggles to position against Larry Zbyscko. It's funny seeing Rene Goulet as a wrestler. When I think of Rene Goulet, I think of him as one of those guys in the suits that used to come to the ring in like the 80s and 90s. So, and then talk about WWF Junior Heavyweight Champion Tatsumi Fujinami. So there you go. Look at that. And he became the holder of 2 titles after defeating Steve Keirn for the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. So Fujinami, he unified the NWA and WWF Junior Heavyweight titles only to lose them to Mike Graham. Well, that's unfortunate. There we see popular Tito Santana. He's popular Tito Santana. It's a pretty sweet photo of Dusty Rhodes and Bruno Sammartino shaking hands. Caribbean report. It's pretty awesome. Look at that. Invader number 1. There you see Abdullah the Butcher. It's pretty cool. Caribbean champion Cyclone Negro. And there we see the Puerto Rican champion Carlos Colon. Just awesome. Southern report. You got the Briscoe brothers. Got Manny Fernandez with Don Morocco in a headlock. Paul Jones. Look at that Paul Jones. God, love that body. So we're still in the South. We got Barry Windham over here supplying an armbar to the Super Destroyer. There's a Midlands report. So Greg Gagne is wrestling Lord Alfred Hayes in that photo. And then we see down here Eddie Gilbert. Look at that, young Eddie Gilbert. It says young Eddie Gilbert. And we have Bruiser Brody, known in this territory as King Kong Brody, because this is, like I was saying, this is the Gagne territory. This is the AWA. They had Dick the Bruiser. So Brody went by King Kong Brody in that territory. And then we have the Western Report. So there we see Chavo Guerrero and Ernie Ladd, which is pretty awesome. That's actually really cool. George Wells. So I don't know if you remember George Wells. He was a jobber in the WWF. Bomber Ray Evans makes up 50% of the Evans Brothers combo. Well, yeah, he would. Look at this photo of Mike the Alaskan York. That is such a sweet photo. Look at this. So Steve Strong, the title-winning bodybuilder, has entered the contests. Funny thing about Steve Strong, he was a good artist and actually painted photos that hang in the governor's mansion in Minnesota. He painted them for Jesse Ventura. Bob Brown. So yeah, and then there's some more Back Issues magazine advertisements. And then Hockey Illustrated. And then, cool. And then the back cover, just more ads. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this kind of video. I'll do more. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I'll see you next time.